All right, what's going on, guys? So in this video, I want to introduce you to a new training style that you probably haven't tried before, because one thing that I keep hearing is that these at-home workouts can get pretty stale pretty quickly. And I think this is a problem because having variety in your workouts seems to be linked to training success, even if indirectly. One 2019 study found that when subjects were split into two groups and given either a randomized program that varied reps and exercises, or a fixed program that had the same reps and same exercises for 8 weeks, even though there was no difference in muscle thickness or strength, the group randomly varying their program saw a greater increase in motivation to train. So at a time like this, when motivation's at an all-time low, adding some variety and randomness to your workouts should help you be more motivated and consistent. So with this in mind, I want to take you guys through a randomized at-home workout. And if you want to run through some more of these workouts yourself, you can grab the full card training manual for free over on my website, which I'll also link down below. And you don't need any equipment to run these workouts. All you need is a deck of cards. So let me explain how it works. First, we're going to shuffle a deck of cards and deal off the first 20 cards face down. This is how the randomness is built in. Each card represents one set, so these 20 cards represent your full workout. Now, if you feel like you need more volume, you can deal more cards, but just keep in mind that a 20 card workout is going to run about 20 minutes, 30 cards will take about 30 minutes, and so on. Next, we're going to turn over the first card, where the card number represents the number of reps plus 10. So if you draw a 7, you'll do 17 reps. If you draw a 2, you'll do 12 reps, and so on. Face cards count as 10s, so if you draw a face card, you'll do 20 reps. Aces are the rest cards, so you'll get 2 minutes of rest every time you draw an ace, but otherwise you'll go through the full workout without resting between sets, except for one exception, which I'll get to. So the suits represent the exercises, so I'll put the full exercise list over here next to my head. Spades are push exercises, clubs are pull exercises, hearts are leg exercises, and diamonds are isolation exercises, meaning biceps, triceps, abs, and calves. All right, so those are the basic rules. Now let's go through a workout together. So first, you want to start with a quick 5-minute warm-up to help increase core body temperature and get out of that at-home relaxation mode and into a at-home workout mode. So I'll do about 5 minutes of light cardio, which can be jogging on the spot, jumping rope, playing basketball on a mini hoop, or doing jumping jacks. And it's really important that you not skip this step, especially when training from home. Now, from there, I'll jump into some full body dynamic stretching. So I'll do 5 to 10 lying thoracic spine rotations, some step throughs, then some leg swings and arm circles. And now we're ready to start the workout. So we'll deal out our 20 cards and turn over the first card, which is a 7 of hearts, meaning we're gonna hit 7 plus 10, so 17 reps on the first leg movement, which is a walking lunge. And 17 reps here means 17 reps per leg, so 34 total lunges. Now, for some of you, just hitting that rep count will be challenging enough, but for a lot of you, myself included, simply hitting that rep count won't have you training close enough to failure. And I think this is probably the biggest mistake most people are making with their training right now. They're just aiming for a set rep count, so say 10 or 20 reps, but not actually pushing their muscles close enough to failure to create tension in those highest threshold muscle fibers. Now, you don't need to go all the way to failure, but if you're leaving more than, say, 3 to 5 reps in the tank, you probably aren't maxing out the muscle building potential of that exercise. So as we go through the workout, rather than doing super high rep sets to get close enough to failure, we're going to instead focus on ways to make each movement more difficult within the selected rep range by using intraset feedback, where partway through the set, you ask yourself, okay, is this really feeling hard enough? And if not, how can I start making it feel harder so I'm getting closer to failure by the time I get to the target rep count? So for the walking lunge, the first thing you can do is wear a backpack to add some extra resistance. Of course, if you have a set of dumbbells at home, feel free to use the dumbbells. We can also make it harder by focusing on minimizing assistance from the back leg. So rather than using your calves to push you forward, think of each rep as if it were a single leg squat where you're only using your front leg to drive your heel down into the floor. And we can also take longer strides to increase hip range of motion and get the glutes more involved. So after completing 17 reps per leg, we'll turn over the next card, which is a queen of spades. This means we're hitting 20 reps on the push-up or the incline push-up. And again, if 20 push-ups won't have you close enough to failure, you need to find ways to make the exercise more difficult for the target rep count. So there are 3 things that we can do here. First, we can slow the negative down to at least 2 or 3 seconds. We can pause for 1 to 2 seconds in the stretch position, and then actively squeeze our pecs together at the top of each and every rep. And if you really exaggerate these techniques as you do the set, you can make any number of reps feel quite challenging. So let's say on these push-ups, I'm getting close to the target rep count and I still feel like I've got another 10 or more reps in the tank. What I should do is start really exaggerating these intensity techniques to make the last few reps extra hard. So I can slow down the negative to a 5-second count, pause for 5 seconds at the bottom, and then squeeze my pecs as hard as possible for 5 seconds at the top for those last few reps. And this intraset tempo adjustment is gonna help you get closer to failure without having to do 50 or 60 reps, and also gives you a chance to apply overload through less conventional methods like extending tempo and improving the mind-muscle connection. Okay, so after that, we turn over a 2 of clubs. So we're gonna do 12 reps of the first pull exercise, which is a doorway pull-up, tree branch pull-up, or banded pull-down if you have bands. Now, I know many of you own a doorway pull-up bar, so in that case, you can just do full range of motion pull-ups there. And if you can't hit the target rep count with good form, you can either use a band to help give you some assistance, or just stop once you reach failure and move on to the next card. Otherwise, you might have a tree in your backyard that you can do some pull-ups on, or maybe you've got a band that you can use to knock out 12 reps of doorway pull-downs. Okay, up next, we turn over a 10 of diamonds, which means we're gonna hit 20 reps on the first isolation exercise, so bicep curls. Now, I know I poked some fun at gallon jug curls in my April Fool's video, but they're actually a perfectly reasonable way to overload the biceps, and it's funny because after I filmed those sip curls, my arms were sore for 2 or 3 days. So they definitely do work, you just don't need to take sips in between the curls.
Yes, you do.
And again, if you have bands or dumbbells, feel free to make that substitution. And similar to the push-up, if you get near those last few reps and feel like you could easily still keep going, you wanna make some intraset technique adjustments and start intentionally making the movement feel harder by super slowing the negative down to 5 seconds, squeezing your biceps as hard as possible at the top, and by keeping constant tension on the muscle by not letting your biceps rest at the bottom. Something else you can do here, especially if you draw a lower card, is do 2-second pauses at the midpoint of each rep on the way up and on the way down. All right, so after that we draw ace, meaning we've got 2 minutes of rest. Now when it comes to rest periods, the best research we have suggests that resting longer than 1 minute between sets for the same body part is better than resting for less than 1 minute. However, on this program, unless you draw 2 cards of the same suit back to back, you're probably gonna be hitting different exercises for different body parts. So for example, our legs can be resting from the lunges as we do push-ups. Also, I personally find that resting between every set at home is an easy way to just slow down the workout, get distracted, and lose motivation. So my advice is to only rest if you feel like you really need it between exercises that hit the same body part. So you can rest for a bit if you draw 2 cards of the same suit in a row, but otherwise just keep going without rest unless you draw an ace. And at the very least, this is gonna add a cardiovascular conditioning component to the workout, help improve your strength endurance capacity, and help you get through those higher volume workouts once gyms reopen again. Okay, so from here, we're just gonna keep turning the rest of the cards while using intraset feedback and the various tempo and mind-muscle connection techniques to make each set appropriately difficult. And rather than going through the rest of the 15 cards here individually, I'm just gonna overlay the clips as I discuss some of the other important training principles when running a more randomized program like this one. So one thing I do wanna mention here is the role of progressive overload. A lot of people might be wondering about this.
But Jeff, how are we supposed to apply progressive overload if we're just always changing the reps and exercises? Like, won't all that randomness make it harder to actually gradually add weight over time?
Well, I do think this is actually a good question, and here's how I think about it. In our current circumstance, achieving methodical overload, like going from 4 reps to 6 reps on a squat, is not only difficult, but borderline impractical, especially if motivation is low and equipment is limited. Sure, if you're really dedicated, you can gradually overload by adding 1 magazine per week to your backpack, adding 1 cup of water to your gallon jug every week, or even just adding 1 push-up per week. And that certainly would help, but what I'm hearing from most people is that meticulously overloading these makeshift exercises doesn't feel practical or motivating. So here I'm offering a temporary solution. The card workout, where we're using randomness to increase enjoyment and motivation while balancing out that randomness with sufficient structure by focusing on using good technique, harnessing a mind-muscle connection, and using appropriate exertion through the use of intraset feedback and intensity techniques. So these workouts can be something you follow along with for just a few workouts when you're bored, or maybe there's something that you can commit to 3 to 5 times a week as long as the gyms are closed until you get back into your regular training. And like I said, you can get the full card training manual for free over on jeffnippard.com. So I'll put a button to that over here next to my head. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all here in the next one.